From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 24th, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.53 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,226 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $25, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,257. Antiwar.com reports doubling down on President Trump's late-night Twitter rant threat to make Iran suffer consequences the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. National Security Advisor John Bolton says President Trump had spoken to him in recent days about his intention to take action. Bolton says Trump told him that the next time Iran does anything at all to the negative, they will pay a price like few countries have ever paid before. Bolton has been advocating U.S. wars against Iran for many years, and while neither Trump nor Bolton explicitly said that what was going to happen to Iran was a U.S. military attack, that was clearly meant to be the implication. Bolton in particular would almost certainly not seem so satisfied with the plan if it was something short of war. Most analysts are comparing President Trump's recent comments against Iran to last year's threats against North Korea, which preceded a diplomatic deal. Whether this is an attempt to replicate that in Iran or just a threat for its own sake remains to be seen. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com. UPI reports ride-hailing companies Uber and Lyft have suspended a St. Louis driver who live-streamed hundreds of passengers for months without their knowledge. The live streams revealed personal conversations of passengers on a Twitch web channel and comments made about the conversations and female passengers' bodies, a format similar to HBO's Taxi Cab Confessions from the late 1990s and early 2000s. The driver, Jason Gargak, told the St. Louis Dispatch he doesn't see anything wrong with broadcasting his rides to a web audience. The revelation, though, had provoked debate about privacy, ethics, and legality, even though an Uber spokesperson said the practice is not against the law in Missouri. Nonetheless, Uber and Lyft both suspended him after the Post-Dispatch first reported the story. A statement by Lyft said, "The safety and comfort of the Lyft community is our top priority, and we have deactivated this driver." Gargak's live stream channel was also removed from Twitch. Twitch said in a statement to UPI, "In terms of this particular person, we do not comment on terms of service violations in regard to specific individuals." Before his channel was taken down, Gargak had earned about $3,500 from Twitch users since March. He also said he primarily used the streams, which were archived on his channel for 60 days for security reasons. He emphasized that he added a 4-inch square sticker on the rear passenger window that read, "Notice, for security, this vehicle is equipped with audio and visual recording devices. Consent given by entering vehicle." Passengers contacted by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch said they did not see the sticker. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the family of an Australian woman shot dead by Minneapolis police last year after calling to report a suspected crime near her home sued the city and several officers on Monday, saying they violated her civil rights. The fatal July 2017 shooting of 40-year-old life coach Justine Ruzick-Damond sparked international outrage amid a wave of U.S. police shootings that fueled a debate over the use of force by law enforcement. Ex-Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor was charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter for shooting Damond through the door of his patrol car as she approached him after calling police to say she thought she heard a woman being raped. Noor was fired the day the charges were filed and is free on $400,000 bail. The civil suit, filed in federal district court in Minnesota, names Noor and his partner Matthew Harity and accuses them of conspiring to conceal the facts around the shooting and failing to record the incident on their body cameras. The suit also referenced their ages. Noor was 32, Harity was 25, and called them inexperienced officers who appear by their conduct unfit for duty. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Hey, Hey, Steve Harvey here for the Illinois Broadcasters Association. And in a recent survey, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency was asked to name the top 5 items that every Illinois family needs to have in their home's emergency disaster kit. Check out these answers. Water, can't live without it. Number 2, non-perishable food. Well, after all, a man gotta eat, right? Number 3, weather radio, and make sure you got fresh batteries too. Number 4, flashlight. Even more reason to have fresh batteries on hand. Number 5, first aid kit. Look, there's no reason to feud over what items to put in your family's emergency disaster kit. Get the answers and more at ready.illinois.gov. That's ready.illinois.gov.
Sponsored by the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, good day to you. Welcome to RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier.
I'm DeLoss Yankee.
And I'm Jenna Preston.
We are ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. We got lots of numbers. We're going to go with numbers, and we'll have a statement from the president of the American Farm Bureau Federation about the trade discord and the disconnect that seems to be going on amongst some D.C. leaders. Difficult times.
The continuing saga.
Oh my gosh, we're done. We're done biting our fingernails. We got no fingernails left, so don't know what's left.
Well, it's still fair season, and Jenna has been on the ground, not so much on the corn dog side of things, but definitely in the livestock barns and doing some fine interviews, and we're going to feature one of those coming up a little bit later.
Now, what's this about? No corn dogs?
Not a fan.
Wow. That was one of the things, there was a certain spot on the fair. I mean, it wasn't just corn dogs, but it was corn dogs from a certain vendor at the fair, right?
Well,
Apparently not.
I'm more of a funnel cake
Okay, all right.
person. But I didn't get one, so State Fair, I'm coming for you.
We can find a whole bunch of funnel cakes down there.
Yeah, indeed. We're also going to be hearing just a little bit from Mark Tuttle, who's the president of the DeKalb County Farm Bureau, also a member of that resolutions committee. They were in just about 10 days ago discussing policy and grassroots efforts in the state.
It won't be long. We'll be talking about annual meeting coming up.
Yes.
That's only three and a half months away.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness. 4.5. Hopefully 4.5.
Other newsflash, Curtis Orchard, their store, open.
Yeah.
Details to come. Stick around.
With this week's edition of Farm Week, the early word, here's DeLoss Yankee.
Scott Vanderwall, American Farm Bureau Federation Vice President and South Dakota Farm Bureau President, told federal legislators he'll lose $150,000 on his farm due to trade tariff impacts on corn and soybean prices. This week's edition of Farm Week tells his story and those of 2 additional state Farm Bureau presidents. Peoria County farmer Heber Vidal grows corn and soybeans like his neighbors, but he also produces another seed crop foreign to Illinois soils. Read about Vidal's Colombian coffee farm in the latest Farm Week.
No other farm weekly in Illinois has as many people on the ground in Illinois covering Illinois agriculture for you with the depth on key issues to help keep you profitable. And don't forget, you can get daily or even more frequent updates online anytime at farmweeknow.com.
Welcome back to RFD Illinois. I'm DeLoss Yankee. American Farm Bureau Federation had some words for White House Trade Advisor Peter Navarro, who was on CNBC Thursday saying that the president's trade strategy with China, which includes levying new tariffs that have sparked a trade clash, is not as disruptive as many describe.
We got 2 economies which add up to about $30 trillion in annual GDP, and the amount of trade that we're affecting with the tariffs is a rounding error compared to that. My point is that it's much less disruptive than these headlines would suggest, and it's much more constructive as we see the adjustments made in terms of where investment's going to go and how we're going to build.
So Navarro told CNBC that the nation's combined GDPs is $30 trillion, and the amount of trade they're affecting with the tariffs is a rounding error compared to that. AFBF President Zippy Duvall said the comments are, quote, out of touch with the pain our farmers and ranchers are experiencing. Making farmers and ranchers pawns in this chess game is extremely risky for our nation's agriculture economy and food security. Prices for all of our export-sensitive farm goods have tanked since May when this tariff game started. Farm income was already off by half compared to 4 years ago, with debt levels rising. Hardly a strong position for agriculture going into this trade war. This situation will only worsen as combines roll between now and the fall election season. The nation's farmers and ranchers support the broader goal of strengthening our overall economy and trade balance, but not at the risk of long-term irreparable harm to our ag exports and the jobs they create, unquote. Now, looking at the numbers from Illinois Ag Statistics, and the fast-moving crop growing degree days are 286 ahead of average since May 1 at 1,908. Several of the locations have already reported more than 2,000 growing degree days since May 1. Last week's temperatures at 74.7 degrees was 2.1 degrees less than average. The state received on average 77 hundredths of precipitation, 0.2 of an inch less than average. Corn silking's at 97% complete. 33% is already in the dough stage. The 5-year average is 14. Soybean setting pods is at 66%, ahead of the 5-year average of 24, way ahead of schedule. Sorghum headed's at 49%, ahead of the 5-year average of 32. Our farm wheat crop watcher in Iroquois County, Ron Haas, could use the rain. They've been getting the short end of rainfall throughout the growing season.
We're 5 inches behind since planting has occurred. So another way to look at it said we're like 66% of the average for the last 10 years. We're just going to need to keep getting some rain to sustain it without the extra water in the subsoil.
Ron Haas, who says a late July rain would certainly go a long way for both corn and soybeans. Usually you need an August finishing rain for beans. He says they're moving along so fast, a late July rain would certainly do a whole lot of good. Illinois corn is rated 33% excellent, 49% good, 13% fair, 5% is rated either poor or very poor. Condition improved over the past week, as did soybeans, 27% excellent, 51% good, 16% fair, 6% poor or very poor. We'll get our latest report from Kent Casson in McLean and Livingston counties.
After some fairly heavy rains the weekend before, we had a mainly dry week in central Illinois until some more showers this past weekend. We started out on the hot and humid side over the past 7 days, and then temperatures moderated nicely for our local county fair, the Livingston County Ag Fair and 4-H Show, last Wednesday through Saturday. We spent some time over there, and I headed east to the Iroquois County Fair on Friday morning. Driving around the countryside, the crops sure look good, and that's mainly true for our farms as well here in central Illinois. I caught up with fellow grower Phil Kiefer last week. He farms in the extreme southwestern portion of Livingston County with his brother Rich.
Things look pretty decent. We've had a beautiful spring. Things got input in nice, and we've had some nice rains. And getting a little bit dry here, but with a little forecast rain here, we may get it on one of the fair days here. But then that's okay. We'll take it. Yeah, things look pretty good yet so far.
Thanks to Phil Kiefer for talking to me this week. Reporting from my farm in southeastern Livingston County, I'm Kent Casson for the RFD Radio Network.
Thanks, Kent. We'll get a forecast in a few minutes from Freeze Notice meteorologist Dan Hicks. Some of these temperatures for highs only look to be in the 70s by the weekend. Rita's up next on RFD Illinois.
Corn. Thanks to Illinois corn farmers, you can see it just about everywhere here in the land of Lincoln. What you may not know is the unexpected places you can find corn, like your gas tank. 97% of all fuel sold in the U.S. is a 10% ethanol blend. And here in Illinois, we're a top producer of ethanol. Not only does it drive your car, it drives our economy. Be sure to proudly choose an ethanol blend at the pump the next time you fill up. Illinois runs on homegrown corn and Illinois-made ethanol. Visit ilcorn.org to find out more. A message from Illinois corn farmers and their checkoff.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
As a leading farm insurer, Country Financial knows that your farm is more than just the land you own and the crops you grow. It's your legacy, and you need the right protection for that legacy, including liability insurance. We've been in the farm business for over 90 years, so we have the experience and knowledge to help you determine what you need. We'll be alongside you as your farm and family grows. We'll work with you to identify your risks and help you decide how to handle them. We also have the technology to help you manage things on the go. Our goal is to help protect your farm now and in the future. Just like beautiful farmland starts with seeds and soil, protecting your livelihood starts with simple steps. Country Financial. When you're ready to start, we're ready to help. Get started today at countryfinancial.com/simple steps. Follow us at Country Financial on Facebook and Instagram or Hello Country on Twitter. And keep an eye out for the hashtag #AgAtCountry to learn what we're up to. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. Agriculture groups are giving it another shot, hoping despite the odds, the House can pass ag guest worker reforms to help provide a reliable, legal labor supply for livestock and crop production. RFD Washington correspondent Matt Kay reports.
Getting any kind of immigration reform through Congress seemed near impossible the last several years, and even more so this year, with midterm elections fast approaching in November. But National Pork Producers economist Dustin Baker says it's important to keep trying.
It certainly faces an uphill battle, but I think this is such a top-of-mind issue for our farmers across the country that we really have to give it the best shot that we have.
Baker says producers have been pressing for year-round access to an adequate supply of legal labor for a long time.
This is particularly important to livestock producers because it would allow for year-round access to a legal workforce. The current status quo allows for employment of up to 10 months, but that doesn't really work for livestock producers or for any other ag endeavors that require a year-round workforce.
The House bill would allow 450,000 foreign workers under a new H-2C visa, including 40,000 for packing plants, to stay in the U.S. legally for up to 3 years.
There's provisions included in this bill that would also require all employers in the United States to comply with the federal E-Verify program, which is a web-based system that allows for employers to confirm the eligibility of their employees to work here.
USDA would issue the new visas rather than the Labor Department. More than 200 ag groups support the Ag and Legal Workforce Act, similar to a bill the House Judiciary Committee approved last fall. For the RFD Radio Network, Matt Kay, Washington.
Thanks, Matt. In other news, Mark Tuttle is a DeKalb County farmer, president of the DeKalb County Farm Bureau. He also serves as chair of the State and Local Government Resolutions Committee for Farm Bureau, but in grassroots efforts to work in the state. Recently, the committee met in Bloomington to talk about issues on the table for Illinois Farm Bureau.
Several submittals this year. We had a good group, good working group. One or two things that strike me, though, is, and I think we're going to be looking towards our membership over the next couple of months and getting some input from them on how they feel about some of these total issues that are going to be affecting citizens of Illinois. One of the things we're looking at is this legalization of marijuana. Where does our membership stand on that? Membership, is there thoughts changing on this? We're not sure. So we're going to reach out. We're going to do a little investigating on it and see where this issue does lie amongst our membership.
Are folks still, especially, IFB members and farmers in the state, are we still proud of the state?
Well, you know how state government works in Illinois. It seems like it's controversial every day. Yeah, I think we care about our state. As farmers, we live here. We're not going to pack up and move out next week. Now, there's a lot of people that keep talking about, well, as soon as I retire, I'm leaving the state of Illinois. We have a vested interest here in this state, and as farmers, we own the land, we work the land. We need to be a part of state government in order to make things work for everyone in the state of Illinois, but especially for agriculture.
How do things look on your farm, Mark, today?
We've had a very good summer. We were a little wet early. I would say the extreme part of northern Illinois is very wet. They had a tough June, so there are some holes out in those fields that you don't see driving by now. There's going to be some places that had way too much water and it's hurt the crop, but for the most part, I think there's a good corn crop coming.
Mark Tuttle, president of the DeKalb County Farm Bureau. From DeKalb County to the Rock Island County Fair last week, where intern Jenna Preston talked to some of the exhibitors and judges for the livestock shows.
This is Jenna Preston with another report from the Rock Island County Fair, and I am joined by Olivia Clare, who judged the junior show today, and you are a Western Illinois alum as well.
Yes, I just graduated from Western in May.
Now, what is the quality of cattle that you've seen here at the Rock Island County Junior Show?
I had the opportunity to come here last year, and actually I think that they have managed to top last year's show. I think the quality has been exquisite, and the kids that have been showing have been awesome as well.
What do you like to see in the ring in terms of cattle?
Personally, I like the ones that are going to go on and make females after we're all done with this. The show ring is such a small side of the production that we actually do in agriculture.
Now, what do you like to see in the showmanship side of in the ring?
Personally, I think that this is an awesome experience, so I want the kids to be excited about being in the ring and not look like they've been drug in by someone else, and also just paying attention. I think that's the biggest thing, whether it's to me, to the animal, to the crowd, just knowing your surroundings and what's around you.
And when you were judging, you put a lot of emphasis on if they were bred and owned on their home farm. Is that really important to you as a judge?
Personally, I think that just makes it so much better that you have taken the time to raise them, you've taken the time to breed them, and all the way down to show them. I think it's an awesome experience and also just an opportunity for those kids to get to do that.
Is there anything else you would like to add about the Rock Island County Fair and the quality of people as well as cattle?
I've had an absolute blast both years that I've came and appreciate the opportunity getting to come work with all these kids and these cattle, and also like just the fairgrounds in general is always clean. Everyone's always nice at the gates. It doesn't matter where you're at the fairgrounds. Everyone's very nice here.
This is Jenna Preston again reporting from the Rock Island County Fair.
Thanks, Jenna, and we'll continue to have highlights from county fairs from throughout the state as we slide through this summer 2018 and build up to the Illinois State Fair in Springfield the second week of August. Let's break for markets and weather.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Tuesday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans slightly lower, and wheat ending Monday steady. September corn closing at $3.57 up 2. December corn up 2 1/4, $3.71 March corn $3.82 up 2.5. August beans closing at $8.47 down 2 pennies. September beans down 1 3/4, $8.53 and November beans $8.62 3/4 down 2. September wheat closing at $5.13 3/4, down 2 1/4. December wheat down 3/4, $5.32 1/4. March wheat up 3/4, $5.49 1/2. August bean meal $3.28 even, up 1.10. August bean oil $27.97. That's down 1/4. In current electronic overnight trading, September corn down 4, December corn down 4, and March corn also down 4 at $3.78 1/2. August beans in the overnight down 3 1/2. September beans down 3 3/4, and November beans down 3 3/4, $8.59. September wheat in the overnight down 4 3/4. December wheat down $0.05, and March wheat down 5 1/4, $5.44 1/4. In the outside market, September Brent crude oil $73.06. That's down a penny. The August gold contract down $1.40 this morning, $12.24.20. In the livestock market, August lean hogs $66.42, down 2 pennies. October lean hogs up $135, $52.62. August live cattle $108.72, down 20 cents. October live cattle up 35 cents, $110.60. August feeder cattle $153.25, down 42 cents. September feeder cattle down 22 cents, $154.32. Illinois direct barrels and gilts trading $1 lower on Monday at 39 to 49. I'm Jim Taylor for the RFD Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather with the early morning weather update on the RFD Radio Network for this Tuesday morning. Most of the Midwest had dry weather the past 24 hours, with a few showers in the far eastern areas and a few showers in the far west. Daytime highs were not too far from normal in most areas, with most readings in the 80s. Dry, mild weather will continue across the Midwest the next few days. Daytime highs today will be mostly in the 80s across Illinois today, 80s to around 90 degrees tomorrow. A new weather system developing over the plains will push eastward across the Midwest this week. Will bring a chance for a few scattered showers to the region. Right now, though, it looks like most rainfall amounts in Illinois will be fairly light. Only a few hundredths to a few tenths of an inch of rain are expected, primarily late Wednesday night through about Thursday. Temperatures will warm a few degrees ahead of this system, then some additional cooler Canadian air dropping south into the area late this week into Saturday will cool temperatures back down below normal, with readings dropping down into the upper 70s and 80s for daytime highs. The need for some rain will increase across quite a bit of the Midwest over the next 4 or 5 days. It does look like the weather pattern will start to get a bit wetter, especially in the Ohio Valley and the southern and eastern parts of the Midwest as we move farther into the weekend and on into the 6 to 10 day time frame. 6 to 10 day rainfall amounts should average near to above normal across the Ohio Valley, as well as the rest of the southern and eastern Midwest and areas farther to the south and east. Farther north and west over the northwestern 1/2 to 1/3 of the Midwest, 6 to 10 day rainfall amounts will likely average near to below normal. No unusually hot weather is expected across the Midwest over the next several days. 6 to 10 day temperatures should average near to a few degrees below normal across most of the region. Once again, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather.
Illinois Farm Bureau wants you to get to know us. Check out our new look at ilfb.org. We're your mobile-friendly go-to source for all things ag-related. Find out how we help farmers and Illinois agriculture have a stronger voice in Washington. Learn about our programs, projects, and activities to help ag professionals become stronger leaders. See what we stand behind as an organization as you explore our role in the big picture of agriculture. Visit ilfb.org, your link to Illinois ag.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise, we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
When it comes to social media, Sabrina Berkowitz connects rural routes for you. Sabrina covers a broad range of ag topics, so Farm Bureau members are the first to know about key issues. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up with a grain and livestock farm in my extended family, and today I really enjoy helping people learn how to use social media to advocate for agriculture.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Hey, that's all the time we have for this edition of RFD Illinois.
We salute a community each day.
We do.
Say hello to Oneida, population about 700, home of the Sweet Corn Festival.
Yummy.
This weekend. I'll bet there's a whole bunch of sweet corn up there, too.
Tigers.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How about that?
Eat your heart out, Rod Stahl. For Jim Taylor, I'm Rita Frazier.
I'm DeLoss Yankee.
And I'm Jenna Preston.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Robert Zimmerman. Memorials continue to grow in Toronto for the victims of Sunday's mass shooting. 2 young people are dead and 13 other people injured. The shooter, 29-year-old Faisal Hussein, died after a gun battle with police. His family says he suffered with severe mental illness. The CBC's Nicole Ireland has more.
People are stopping by the tributes here at Alexander the Great Parkette. It's a popular gathering place here on the Danforth and the area where Sunday night's shooting rampage began. There are flowers, candles, and messages written in chalk around the fountain here. Messages like, "This is still home. Love, not hate." But amid the hope, there are also questions about how this happened. Kostas Repas has lived in the neighborhood for years.
Everything is going to be back to normal, but we got to do something about the guns.
How the shooter got a gun in the first place is one of the big questions facing police as they continue their investigation. Nicole Ireland, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario is investigating if construction crews building a wind turbine project are to blame for a forest fire on a First Nation near Sudbury. Despite a fire ban, some workers who asked CBC to conceal their voices say blasting work set off several small fires.
Conditions are volatile. There should not be any work going on considering there was a fire ban and it was so dry. During the week, fires started up from our machines, little fires, but this one started and it was too big for them to control.
The Ministry of Natural Resources is investigating. The company behind the turbine project, U.S.-based Pattern Energy, says construction is now shut down at the site. Greece has declared a state of emergency and 3 days of mourning. Fast-moving wildfires overnight have killed more than 60 people. Venetia Rainey reports from Athens.
Greek Prime Minister Alex Tsipras has declared a state of emergency. Dozens of people have lost their lives in what's being described as the worst incident of its kind in a decade. The sky here in Athens was at times concealed by thick smoke, making front-page news not only in Greece, but internationally. Just this morning, in one field alone, the charred bodies of 26 people were found in the seaside village of Mati. That's not far from the popular tourist port of Rufina, where holidaymakers catch ferries to islands such as Mykonos. Hundreds have been hospitalized, homes destroyed, and major highways and train lines disrupted. A relatively dry winter plus recent temperatures of up to 40 degrees Celsius have created conditions ripe for disaster. It's not yet clear how the fires started, but Tsipras and Greek officials say the fact that several broke out at the same time is highly suspicious. Venetia Rainey, CBC News, Athens.
A hydroelectric dam fell apart today in southeastern Laos, releasing large amounts of water, sweeping away houses, and leaving more than 6,600 people homeless. Women overcome with panic climb aboard a speedboat with young children to be rescued. The dam was still under construction when a portion of it collapsed. Many areas of Laos have been hit by flooding from seasonal rains. At least 6 villages were swept away by the water, with hundreds of people reported missing. And Israel's Air Force has shot down a Syrian warplane. 2 Patriot missiles were fired at the Syrian fighter after the Israelis say it strayed 2 kilometers into Israeli airspace in the occupied Golan Heights. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus speaks for Israel's military.
We know that the plane crashed in the Syrian Golan Heights, the southern part of the Syrian Golan Heights. We do not know what happened with the pilots. We have no reports of any parachutes seen.
Syrian state media says the jet was conducting air raids inside Syrian airspace. There's been an increase in fighting in recent weeks on the Syrian side of the Golan Heights as government forces continue their battle against rebel forces. On Saturday, more than 400 members of Syria's White Helmets rescue group and their families were evacuated through Israel from the area. And that is your world this hour. For CBC News, I'm Robert Zimmerman.
Radio. It's nothing new. It's been here all along with free entertainment, news, sports, music, and information. It's not just part of life. It's part of who we are. You know which station is going to tell you the score of the game, which one's going to give you a laugh in the morning, which one is going to give you something to sing along with. You know where to turn when the weather gets rough. When something big happens, good or bad, you know where to go because radio has been here all along. Radio is part of your community, woven into the fabric of what makes home, home. And now, radio has evolved to move with you with the Next Radio app and your FM-enabled phone. Just plug in your headphones to start experiencing radio in a whole new way while using way less battery and data than streaming apps. Check out the live guide to see and interact with live radio stations. Easily find your favorites like the one you're listening to right now. And as always, it's totally free. Download the Next Radio app today. Next Radio. Live and local wherever you go.
Do you or a loved one have a chronic condition such as diabetes, a heart condition, or asthma? Do you or a loved one have a severe allergy to a certain food, drug, or insect? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you are a candidate for an electronic medical alert watch, the alternative to the traditional medical ID bracelet. An electronic medical alert watch visibly communicates a person's health conditions, drug, food, and other allergies, and other critical information to help make a diagnosis and save a life. Take control of your health. Protect yourself or your loved ones and order an electronic medical alert watch today. Visit www.epill.com. That's epill.com. Affordable, free shipping, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Remember, www.epill.com. That's EPILL.com. ePill.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
The president is exploring the mechanisms to remove security clearance because they've politicized and in some cases monetized their public service and security clearances.
White House Press Chief Sarah Sanders saying President Trump is thinking about revoking the security clearances of at least a half dozen former national security officials, including former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, who reacted to CNN at the news.
It's kind of a sad commentary where, for political reasons, this is a kind of a petty way of retribution, I suppose, for speaking out against the president, which I think are born out of genuine concerns.
There since June 17th, Portland, Oregon authorities are pushing out a group of protesters who've been camped out at the Southwest Portland ICE facility. They're going to be clearing them out of that camp today. And this is USA Radio News. American investigators say they believe Russian hackers breached U.S. utility company networks. A report in the Wall Street Journal says a group of Russian state-sponsored hackers did get access to the control rooms of electric utilities and in some cases may have succeeded at triggering blackouts. Extreme weather causing some blackouts in the eastern U.S. as the heavy rains and the threat of flooding continue across much of the east from the Carolinas up to New York State and southern New England. Meanwhile, the Southwest is broiling under record high temps. Phoenix could see 117 degrees Fahrenheit today. Near Athens, Greece, they're seeing the worst wildfires in over a decade, the Prime Minister says.
We must, at this moment, all be in a constant state of alert. We must be unified and make the effort to face an exceptionally difficult situation for the country.
At least 60 people have died in a wildfire that's sweeping through a tourist region not far from Athens. And this is USA Radio News. The Israeli army says it's shot down a Syrian fighter jet after it penetrated Israel's airspace. 2 Patriot missiles fired at the aircraft earlier today. The Israeli army saying the plane had taken off from an airbase that had been the target of Israeli airstrikes in the past. There wasn't any indication where the plane crashed or if its pilots are alive. Adult film star Stormy Daniels' husband wants a divorce. Glenn Crane, the husband of the woman who claimed she had an affair with Donald Trump a dozen years ago, has filed for divorce in Texas and was granted a temporary restraining order so that Daniels cannot take the couple's 7-year-old daughter on her nationwide bus tour of strip clubs. Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen paid Daniels $130,000 shortly before the 2016 election, reportedly for her to keep quiet about the affair she claims to have had with Trump in 2006. And Pepperidge Farm is now recalling 3.3 million packages of its goldfish crackers, saying it's discovered some of the powder used to season them may be tainted with salmonella. No illnesses have been reported, but the flavors subject to recall include Flavor Blasted Extra Cheddar Goldfish, Flavor Blasted Sour Cream and Onion, Goldfish Baked with Whole Grain Extra Cheddar, and Goldfish Mix Extra Cheddar and Pretzel. And for USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
Do you need dental insurance? Then call Physicians Mutual Insurance Company for details. Not just a discount plan, real coverage for 350 procedures. Call 1-855-402-7556. Again, that's 1-855-402-7556. Offer is not available in Minnesota, Montana, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the U.S., 19 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you have someone in need of an organ transplant, visit MatchingDonors.com. Home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. MatchingDonors.com.
I used to think that car commercials were just about as low as you can go. We'll pay off your loan no matter how much you owe. All credit applications accepted. I mean, how IQ challenged do you have to be to look at those commercials and say, wow, they'll accept my credit application. Let's go over there right now. But then I come to Atlanta for a week for the Aflac Carathon, and I see some of the political ads. One candidate for something, I really don't know what or care, he profited from Obamacare. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean he's a doctor and he took patients on Obamacare? Does it mean that he sells health insurance? Are you supposed to do that without making any money? Yeah, the word profit has become a vile and dirty word when you're in a political race. Someday we'll see people resigning because they were accused of earning a profit. And there's that Georgia representative, again, don't know what his name is or remember, don't care, but Sacha Baron Cohen talked him into dropping his trousers in a gym somewhere and essentially twerking as a way to scare off, what, Islamic terrorists? Wouldn't tossing bacon at them be more effective? You look at these ads and you wonder, why do these people want this political position? And the inescapable conclusion is because they're incapable of earning a living doing anything else. And you're right, it's not much better in Florida. Solomon Brothers Studios in Atlanta for the Carathon. This is Neal Boortz.
In an emergency, radio can be your lifeline. When the power is out and cellular networks are down, Next Radio is the free FM radio app that still works on your Android smartphone. Download Next Radio now at the Google Play Store. Stay tuned to this station and stay safe.
This is Betty White. I know you don't need one more thing to worry about, but listen, high blood pressure can cause kidney damage, blindness, heart attack, stroke, and you can have high blood pressure even if you feel all right. 1 in 7 adults has it, but it's easy to get your blood pressure checked, and you can treat it if it is too high. So don't worry about it, don't ignore it, just see your doctor and check it out.
For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams. Daniel, good to see you.
How are you this morning, Dr. Paul?
I'm doing fine, ready and raring to go to straighten out all the problems of the world.
Exactly.
Or at least identify them and make a suggestion. That we can do, at least. So, but today in the news, and it's big news, is whether Trump is legitimately allowed to, fire people that have clearances. Is he doing it for just political reasons? And, of course, there's a lot of lying been going on, and he's saying these former agents and, FBI agents and CIA agents in the security, they're out, but they still have security clearances, and sometimes they use it for their own benefit. They get jobs on TV, and they get to work for the weapons industry. So there's a lot of advantage. And then some of them get involved in politics, too. And some of them tell lies. Can you imagine that? They get caught in lies. And the Trump's position seems to be that, if you have it, you're out, you have a clearance. He's not saying that nobody deserves a clearance. Some people have it. But if you're lying about it, and you're getting involved in politics and you're directing all your lies to me, why shouldn't I fire you and take away your clearances? Why should we just, keep it? He's already set that in motion. 2 people, he fired McCabe and Comey. Mm-hmm. He fired them. I mean, he says, why am I going to let you have clearance? So I guess he's saying that, even though you haven't been fired, you're out of office, but you're abusing, the privilege of having secret clearance. And I guess there was a time when, a retired person had some abilities, and knowing what was going on might be an advisor to the president or something along those lines. But it looks to me like they overstepped the bounds. And when you think about some of the people they're talking about now, like Brennan and Rice and Clapper, these people have been caught in lies, and they are so strong partisans, and they've been super involved. So I have no problem with him taking their clearances away with it. But what if the Democrats come in? Just like the cake issue. It's a freedom of speech issue, and you can't deny freedom of speech, this sort of thing. But he is saying, the left is saying that if he fires them or takes away their clearance, that means they don't have access to this secret information that they sell and become commentators on their station. Now, that is a stretch about the First Amendment.
Yeah, and it's really a fascinating issue because, as the news reported, and I actually saw the tweet yesterday morning, Senator Paul, a fellow we may know from Kentucky, he tweeted out that he's going to go visit with the president yesterday, Monday, and he's going to recommend that John Brennan and a few others have their security clearances pooled because, as he asked, are they monetizing these security clearances? Which, of course, it is the case. There is a monetary value to having, especially the level of clearance that these senior intelligence officers would have, the code words that they know, we'd get shot if we even saw them. So they have these very high clearances. Are they monetizing? Are they selling them to, as you say, to the networks? Hey, I've got an insider access. Are they selling some of them to security, military industrial complex? These retaining your clearances was a courtesy that had been extended to senior intelligence officers after they retired. But let's not forget that the issuance and retention of security clearances are solely at the discretion of the executive branch. The head of the executive branch is the President of the United States, so he has full discretion. It's something that cannot be denied or cannot be changed, and so he has perfect right to take a look at these clearances.
Well, for me, it gets much more complicated because I described, and generally speaking, that maybe in this day and age there's some legitimate reason to have the security, a reason to advise, because it's a big world and a lot of globalism going on, and we have a lot of things to think about. But when you consider what these agencies are involved in, if there needs to be some secrets, I would guess that about 90% of what they're working on and spying on, there's no need for it. I mean, it is NSA spying on Americans, and it becomes political. And this is a big issue. This is a political issue. It has nothing to do with the principle of having a clearance. It's just how you use it and whether a liar can keep of it. I was in the Air Force. I had top secret clearance. You've had it, and I've had it when I was a congressman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the only reason I can think of, a good reason, not that I have any need for all that secrecy, but boy, if I had it, maybe I could get on an airplane a little faster. But no, these guys are still getting on. Now that's the reason for resentment. They get to go in the fast line.
And you look at, the problem of overclassification, we could do another show on it, really, because it is a real issue. And a lot of it's covering your rear end by classifying things up that no one can see them. But when you have someone like John Brennan, as a courtesy, he retains his security clearance, which gives him a higher level of marketability to media outlets and such. When he calls the president a traitor, he literally said the president is a traitor for meeting with Putin, then you can hardly wonder why he might be coming under some scrutiny and where the courtesy of having a clearance might be looked at. But you sort of touched on it before, and I was trying to think of, why might senior officials legitimately retain their clearances after they retire? And theoretically, someone with a lot of experience, decades of experience, who's not over-politicized, like Brennan, Clapper, and these others, who the CIA, after he leaves, may come across a problem. They may want to consult with him on maybe he's had a lot of experience in Afghanistan or what have you, and they may want to bring him back to consult and read him into something that requires a higher level of clearance without going through the whole process of re-clearing him. So in that theoretical sort of situation, you can understand why they retain the clearances. This seems to me to be something very different.
Well, it to me raises a question about this controversy going on now about Carter Page. There was a FISA warrant issued, and the question is, was that legitimately done? Was it pure politics? And what should the ramifications be there if somebody was involved and it was just absolute pure politics on this? I think that is a serious matter. I mean, I've never doubted for a minute that the secrets of government, the FBI, hasn't always been political. J. Edgar Hoover, he started the FBI, and he always had stuff on the politician. So that's why, the secrecy in government to me is the big problem, how to handle it. I do recognize that, certainly during a period of time like World War II, you don't want the enemy, which was a pretty vicious enemy, to know everything you're going to do and it's on in the news. But then again, do they have to know everything that we do, everything that we every activity, and it's massive, every financial, everything about medicine. There is no privacy, and all of a sudden, people have access to this. No, John Brennan doesn't care about my medical record, but he cares about the military. And just think of the $1 trillion being spent on national security. These guys have a lot of information they can sell, and they can be advisors to these companies. They can be on TV, or they can be very political. It looks like there's value in knowing what's going on politically. So I think part of the problem is the fact that they have way too much information and ability to sell their information. It shouldn't be so valuable, and that's a reflection of the system we have.
Yeah, just before we move to Carter Page, because I think it's kind of related, and we'll explain how, hopefully in a minute. But back to addressing the issue of free speech, because the detractors, Trump's detractors, who are unhappy with him pondering revoking the security clearances, are saying, well, you're attacking his First Amendment rights. Brennan's First Amendment rights. But that doesn't make sense logically, because the only reason you would have security clearances is to access classified information. If you have access to classified information, according to your non-disclosure agreement, you can't reveal it anyway. So it's not an issue of First Amendment rights, because you have no First Amendment rights when it comes to disclosing classified information. So it's completely ridiculous to suggest it. But moving to Page, and we kind of put these two together as a sort of a mishmash, because they both tell us a little bit about how the intelligence community is being used for nefarious purposes. And with the Page, as we just found out over the weekend when they released the FBI's FISA application, we want to go spy on this guy Carter Page. He is a volunteer with the Trump campaign, which of course by doing that means you can spy on the whole campaign because we think he's a Russian agent. And so when we look at what the FBI used to justify it, it looks like a piece of Swiss cheese. There's a lot of holes in it.
Yeah, and I think we'll know more, maybe not immediately, exactly who was guilty of what, but it's very, very messy. And I think that individuals like that, I know Trump wouldn't approach it quite the way we do, and he may be a little more political about it. But if Brenner and these other guys are telling lies, and they happen to be politically directed toward trying to destroy Trump, and I can see that you can make a pretty strong case for this when you look at Russiagate and the evidence now to show that all the effort to set up the Trump campaign, not the administration. At the same time protecting and using the Clintons and the Clinton administration that was going to exonerate everybody, and nobody would be guilty of anything. But now it's much messier for them, because I think many on the other side are being caught in telling a few lies, and fortunately lying is still not acceptable. It's especially not acceptable. I think that this be good. This would be a good example to set. There's a limit to even the government officials lying, but if you're involved in any type of litigation, if you ever get caught, even this type of a lie or a misunderstanding or misinformation to an FBI agent, you can go to prison. Martha Stewart, didn't give the right information. She suffered the consequence. Yeah. Or if you misinformation, not even an outright lie, but governments a notorious lie to us. So I think what we're looking at is not, oh, wow, I never dreamed this could happen. What about that way they lie us into war? And it's security people that do this. Our FBI, our CIA, the whole mess. They all, in order to direct the people and to get this $1 trillion to spend in the military-industrial complex. So the issue of lying is important, but this is just barely touching on the big issue of lying. And I don't think we'll cure the world of the people of never lying, but I think what we should be able to do is reduce the amount of power governments have so that the lies couldn't be quite so damaging and the lies couldn't drive us into war. And then, of course, I think we need a few more principled people in Washington that might not listen to the lies and sending us off to war and doing all these things based on lies.
Yeah, exactly. We might not accuse outright the FBI of lying in its FISA application, but I think we can certainly accuse it of misrepresenting the evidence that they presented to the FISA court. Because the evidence they presented to the FISA court suggesting that Carter Page is a Russian agent, that evidence came from the Steele dossier, which was opposition research paid for by Hillary Clinton. They didn't reveal to the FISA court, hey, Hillary was digging up a bunch of dirt on Trump, and here's what she came up with. Can we spy on this guy and spy on the whole Trump campaign? They didn't reveal that. They held that back because they wanted to assert that he was a Russian agent so they could spy on him. But, what is an agent of a foreign power? That's what they say. He's an agent of a foreign power. He was a guy who lived in Russia for a couple of years, tried to do business, tried to scratch out a living over there, maybe met a couple of Russian officials and had chats with them. There's nothing unusual about that. There are literally thousands of Americans who live and work overseas that do the exact same thing. There's nothing nefarious about it. It's like we're moving to a period, Dr. Paul, in America, where if you simply talk to a foreigner, you're suspected of being an agent. It's like we're becoming North Korea. If you go overseas and talk to some official, have a coffee with a government official, and come home, you're going to go off to the gulag.
Yeah, to me, that's a reaction, a reflection of what people do when they're maintaining an empire. They figure, this is justifiable. We have to maintain order, and these kind of conditions occur. So I think that this whole thing isn't going to go away. I think it's going to continue. I don't think we'll resolve it, but there's going to be a lot of ramifications if every one of those guys lose their security clearance and a lot of noise made. But quite frankly, I don't think I want to participate in one of our programs here if Brenner's and Clapper's security clearance is removed tomorrow and raise a lot of cane about it. I might not argue that, I guess there's a little bit of politics involved, but I think it's clear evidence that they have abused what they have done, and the evidence is out there. It isn't like everybody says that they're honorable citizens, except the people on his side, politically speaking.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think if we're ready to wind it down, I would just say a quick update for our viewers, and we want to thank you very much for being our viewers. But we got the very, very happy news the last couple of days that we've crossed 140,000 subscribers to the Ron Paul Liberty Report YouTube channel. And so thank you for subscribing. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit subscribe. Get your friends and relatives and enemies and anyone you want to subscribe as well. And hear a little bit of different news. The other update would be simply about our conference, August 18th, Washington, D.C., Dr. Paul, some good news. I had allotted a certain amount of tickets to be early bird special and to pass some savings on. Unfortunately, we hit the top peak of that. No more early birds were left. I released a few more early bird special rate tickets. So save a little bit of money, get in early, get your ticket while you can. RonPaulInstitute.org/conference. A lot of great speakers, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and so many others. So we're looking forward to seeing you then.
Very good, and I too am anxious to see a lot of you there at the conference and looking forward to it. In closing, I would like to say that for me, it's summarizing, the principle of the rule of law, and our founders attempted to give us some guidance there and gave us a Fourth Amendment, which is totally ignored. So whether it's banking privacy, whether it's medical privacy, whether it's national security privacy, our personal privacy, the collection of data, on and on. If you just follow the Fourth Amendment, we wouldn't have this. But where we are now is we are locked in on this almost obsession with the answer to every problem we have is more government, more spending, more debt. And even today, even with a conservative administration, we see that the answer to one problem is spend more money, whether it's in the military or domestically. And that doesn't work. It just means the government gets bigger and bigger. It means to operate it and manage it well, you have to, sacrifice a little bit of your freedoms. And I can't help but remember very clearly of people coming to me after 9/11. Ron, you got to understand, you got to give up your freedoms to be safe and secure. Well, I feel a lot better if somebody would defend my liberties. Then I would feel a lot safer and more secure. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to the Liberty Report. Please come back soon.